Hello, friends. It's Sarah, and welcome to episode 4 of our luxury hotel and resort Dinkum build. So let's get right into it because that's what we're doing here. I think we decided and talked about the fact that we needed some contrasting color at the front of the hotel. The white marble and the sand, it was looking good, but there was something missing, and so we decided to give this a go. So we're replacing all the sand with dirt so we can plant some grass. And I had my fingers crossed that this would look good in the end because, if you've ever changed out the dirt so you could plant different grass, it's a pretty repetitive task. And so it's one of those things you don't want to have to do over if you don't have to. But I was pretty confident that it was going to look the way we hoped because it just would pop out some more green and give us a little bit more visual interest to see against this white marble that we've got just literally everywhere. And there goes Sunny running by, probably off to do something important. Grab some stuff out of the chests, who knows. But yeah, here we are with, now it's going to be grass planting time and probably tree planting time right after this. I love how I skip every view. It's great. Oh, it's looking good, guys. Look at that. Look at that view back there. If I do say so myself. So we wanted to keep the plants to a minimum. You want to have a really great framing view of this hotel, and so that's why we only planted a few trees. And I think later on, although not right here, we planted some shrubs and maybe a couple flowers. Here we are, extending the beach. Yeah, because we decided that the beach was not a lot of beach. And, well, we just love our dirt printing. This project was dirt printing heavy. Okay, so if you remember in episode 3, I kind of talked about how I was not loving the pool. It was okay. Pretty standard. Nothing to write home about, nothing to be excited about, no wow factor. And I was getting pretty frustrated that it wasn't looking the way that I wanted it to. So after we finished playing that day, I started thinking about it, and I messaged Sunny the very next day, pretty early, like, oh my gosh, I think I figured out what to do about the pool. I think I figured out the problem. It was just looking too plain. Anybody who's created a pool in Dinkum made one pretty much just like this, I'm sure. So I wanted something a little more special. And I had stayed at a few resorts over the years, or seen pictures at different resorts where you have the pool loungers in the shallow part of the pool. And it's really nice because, you can just hop right on out if you get hot and sit right down in the water or whatever. And it kind of was reminiscent of those pools that have this sort of the gradual, what do they call those? Like the beach entrance. Do you all know what I'm talking about? Anyway, so I thought that might add a little something that we were missing with this pool area. It was just so square, rectangular and boring and just what everybody else had done. And I wanted something a little bit more wow factor. So this is what we did. We decided to add this little section over here and put the pool loungers in the water. So yeah, I was a lot happier once we started working on this and making it kind of look the way I'd envisioned, and I didn't hate this area quite so much. Not that I hated it, but I was just not loving it. It didn't seem to match the vibe of the hotel and the grandeur of all what we had done with the building. And you want the pool area to match and look just as swanky. So while I'm not reinventing the wheel here, I felt that it did sort of add a little something extra that I hadn't really seen before. And also, if I ever have a pool personally, this is what I would do. I would have a place just like this in my pool so that I could chill out in the water, get a little sun, but also still feel cool when they get a little too much with the heat. But yeah, so you get to see how we built it the first time and how we're kind of editing it now, which, pretty much happens on literally every build. I think you do something, you live with it for a while, and you're like, yeah, I don't like it. Let's change it and make it this. And that's what we did. Sunny's over there adding a little ladder into the deep end of the pool. That way you can get out easily. A fake ladder. A couple of dirt printed blocks and some fencing. And a faux ladder you may have. I think if we're ever able to like customize the umbrellas or the towels or the market stalls, I'm going to go back in and change them all to either like blue and white or maybe yellow and white, if that's ever an option, just because I feel like that would fit a little bit better with what we've got going on over here. The red is great. It's fine. But if that's ever a thing in the future, I think I will come back in and trade out all of the beach paraphernalia to blue and white or yellow and white, something that's going to be a little bit more matching. Although some might argue that the contrast of the red against all the other colors is a good choice, and that I may keep it. Who knows? So many options. And here's the other big thorn in my side with this pool build. It was the waterfall. The waterfall feature was just so meh. It did not feel impressive. It did not feel luxurious. It felt rather clunky. And so I was like, we also have to change the waterfall area into the pool. It needs to be bigger. It needs to look more lush. So now you get to watch us redo this as well. If this proves anything to anyone, it just means that, I think anybody who builds in Dinkum or any game like it, like Minecraft, nobody gets it right on the first try, I don't think. Well, I don't anyway, and I've seen other creators now. Through the magic of editing on videos, you can kind of perfectly assemble something and it look like it was always planned to be that way. But I'm just here to let you know that's not actually the case. This is what it's looked like. It's just complete chaos. And changing your mind 100 times before you get it to where you want it to be. Sometimes you do something and you're just like, you know what, this isn't working. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look the way I envisioned in my head. So now I've got to do something else so that I don't dislike it. Because, obviously we were super excited about this whole project. And when this one area became such a vexing, irritation, it was like, okay, we've got to figure out something better. So that way this whole thing is something to be excited about. And the thing is we didn't really make too many major changes. It was just a few little tweaks here and there, putting in water boxes, more of them at a higher height, more greenery instead of all the rock. And it just, sometimes those little things are what you need to transform it into something better. And here we're trying to decide, what level do we want the water at? Well, there's the day done. On to the next one. The cement ended up being a bad choice. I think later on we actually switched that out to the green mossy brick pathing to add a little more color over here and a little more greenery, just because it was just so much stone and concrete and rock, and it was getting to be, and I'm hopping around like a rabbit on crack. Oh my goodness. When you speed this stuff up, you don't realize just how ridiculous you look. jumping around. Silly things entertain me, apparently. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, I think we ended up changing this eventually, but I'm not sure at what point in the process. Maybe fairly soon. It might have been the next day. Who knows? Thinking, if you could just see my little brain with little smokestacks coming out of the ears, like the gears are turning. What are we gonna do? I don't like it, but I don't know what to do with it. Yeah, that's what was going on in my head. So yeah, I think this might be where we plant some palm trees. Yep. We sink them down. I never do this. I never think to bury the trees further down than ground level. And we were talking about how if we do that, it can kind of look more like a bush than an actual tree, because as it grows up, just the top will be seen and it'll kind of mimic that of like some kind of a bush. So probably one of the first times I've utilized digging down to plant a tree. And I know people do that all the time. It seems like such a simple thing, and yet first time doing it. And I've been playing Dinkum for almost a year, so. So I think it's really starting to look like something more luxurious at this point than the just plain Jane thing we had before. But I'm sitting here looking at that concrete and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so glad we changed it, because I don't know what we're thinking. I don't like it at all. It's funny watching this stuff back after the fact. It's almost like you get a different perspective than when you were playing the game. I see different things than when I was actually in the middle of the work we were doing. I guess I could be a Monday morning quarterback about it, but we did what we did. So yeah, I think the green was a better choice. I wanted to have something to break up all the marble. While the marble is amazing, too much of a good thing can be too much. And let there be rocks. Sorry guys, this camera movement might make some people a little motion sick. You don't realize when you speed the video up just how crazy the camera movements become. So that is something to pay attention to in the future. Now we're just adding a little lily pond on the other side. Something to be visually appealing. And you got to pick everything up when you realize, oh wait, we didn't put the pathing underneath it. Easy fix, but you do all that work and you're like, oh man, we forgot. That was a regular occurrence pretty much every time we did something. Makes that water pop just a little bit more. with the mushroom pathing underneath the water boxes. It gives a really soft sort of ambient glow at nighttime. I mean, obviously also in the day, but you can really kind of tell at night, especially if it's in shallow water. So this is definitely starting to look a lot more fancy, for lack of a better word. It just looks a lot more in keeping with the tone of everything else that we were doing in this build. And I'm really glad that we decided to take the time to rework this area and really give it a little more attention and give it a little more priority and make it match the same sort of grandness as the building it's sitting next to. It's about here I decided that I needed to pull out the elevated area next to the pool. It wasn't symmetrical, and that's fine. I don't mind if things aren't perfectly symmetrical, but it was causing some issues from a design perspective on making things look not necessarily equal, but balanced. And so we pushed that out a little bit and decided to put 2 rows of path around the pool rather than 1. Just more random decorating. I really am all over the place. Oh my gosh. I see something and I'm like, okay, I need to fix that. And because if I don't, I'll forget and never come back to it. About here, we decided that we needed some other additional steps into the pool, that the 2 over by the waterfall were just not enough. And I decided that, you need steps going down into the pool from the patio area. I wanted to break up the stone marble look. I was like, this just looks a little plain. We need some more live plants, something to breathe a little life into this area. So we decided to bury some planter boxes and put various plants like ferns and hibiscus and bushes. The birds of paradise also. Again, it's just bringing some contrast of color and breaking up all the white and stone and marble and cement and beige. There's a lot of beige. And just that little pop of color in the front really, I think, helped. So I was glad we ended up doing that. We're working on a beach area this morning. A little seaside lounge area. I wish I could figure out a way to build like a cabana. You know how at those really nice high-end luxury resorts, there's like these cabanas by the ocean you can rent for the day or whatever? That'd have been cool. James, can we have cabanas, please? Just for me, just because that's what I want. I'm always standing in my own way. I can't ever place anything down because it's like you can't place it here. You're standing in where you need to place it. So here we're just putting in a few various seating areas, poolside and ocean side, just to kind of, you know, have multiple places for people to go. So this is the backside of the hotel, the bay area, the bay side of the hotel. And I really struggled with what to do here because initially we were going to do like a really nice formal garden with fountains and flowers and all the things. But we didn't have a lot of space to work with, and I think we were both incredibly sick of dirt printing and compacting at this point. So we had to kind of rethink our initial plans for what we were going to put back here. And here we're just sort of clearing out to get everything on the same level. Kind of polishing some things up. It's a little challenging when you don't know what to do next. It's like, okay, well, I could do this, but I don't know if I like that idea. It's just a constant stand around and think about it, which I cut a lot of that out. We did know that we wanted to put grass back here and have less of the marble pathing and like pathways of any kind, really. So that was going to be the next project at some point, is to make it to where we could plant some grass. And here we go. I don't know if it was here or if it was on another day, but we were joking about how we needed a vacation after all this work. And it was like, oh, we could stay at this resort. And Sunny was like, I don't think we can afford it. We both laughed. It was like, ain't that the truth? We're building a place we probably couldn't afford to stay at. I mean, you know, what says American society in 2023 better than not being able to afford the things you build yourself? I do know, though, if this place existed in real life, I would totally stay here. But then I'm always a sucker for any kind of a beach trip. I mean, take me to Mexico, stick me on a beach, hand me a margarita and a book, and I'm as happy as a clam. The shells get a little out of hand in this game, I'm not gonna lie. I felt like we picked up more shells than could possibly exist in real life in any beach. But yeah, the shells were relentless. I guess I'm gonna have to go check out and make sure that they don't respawn all the time afterwards. So this is just polishing up what we want to try to do with this back area, you know, kind of extending it out just a tiny bit and, you know, making it a little bit more, giving us a little bit more to work with, really. Kind of satisfying, like those power washing games, power washer simulator, where you just boom, it's gone like magic. You can kind of get lost in your conversations with people when you're doing things like this and when you're chatting and playing in multiplayer. doing something repetitive, it's easier to continue a conversation. Whereas when I'm sitting around like designing something, it's a little harder for my brain to keep up with conversation and do what it needs to do in order to make the design happen. So give me a repetitive task when it comes to wanting to chat versus actually designing something. And right about here, you might be wondering, what in the world is she doing? I'm kind of trying to place a sort of line to kind of go by to, like, here's where the grass is going to come to. And that way, if somebody else was working on it, they would know kind of the line I was thinking of for the grass. It's funny how it makes it these little circles, isn't it? Ooh, I just thought of a new pathing idea. You don't have to use the pathing tiles. You can just do something like this. Hot diggity. That's a great idea. Okay, hot tip for anybody watching. If you want to create some interesting pathing, but you don't want to use the square pathing tiles, put sand on top of dirt and make your own little path. And it's curvy. Oh my gosh, I just discovered something new. I've been playing this game for a year and I've never thought to do that. Well, you heard it here, folks. I think you should go out and do that right now and take pictures and send them to me. Post them in my video comments. Post them on my Discord. I want to see your creations. I'm so going to have to do this now somewhere. What a great idea. I love it when I'm in my own genius. All right, now we're going to start working on the roof. We thought, let's put something up there. We talked about a rooftop pool and bar, but we didn't. We'd have to place water boxes, and so we could only place them. Water boxes can only go one deep, really, right now, as it stands in the game. I was like, well, I don't really want a one deep pool. That just kind of looks strange. So I was like, could we do something else, I wonder? And so now we're preparing for a rooftop bar and garden, because it seemed like a waste of space up here if we didn't do something with it. And obviously when you go to any kind of fancy hotel, they're going to have something on the roof. I mean, come on. And we've got to be just as cool. We also decided to keep it 2 levels. The bar area is going to be 2 levels down, and the garden area will be 1 level down from the actual top of the roof. In the end, I believe. I'm taking out this row only to have to put it back later, because we realized if we want the quote walls of the rooftop bar to have a different pathing style than what we used for the exterior, we were going to have an extra row. But you learn these things as you go. Time for bed. I think about all the different things we could have done for up here and how we could have made, whatever the idea of the rooftop pool or anything else really, how it would have changed the overall concept. And I'm curious if anybody else decides to do something like this on their island, how they work it. I think that would be fun to see different ideas come together. Whether you take the idea outright and copy it, or you take it and you do something of your own, I would, yeah, I think it's fun to think of the possibilities. And obviously there's nothing stopping us from coming back later and changing it if we are like, wow, this is a really great idea, we should try this instead. Because that's part of the fun. I really, 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 with every fiber of my being, wanted to use the festoon lights. Because I was like, that just kind of screams like rooftop bar, right? But we didn't have enough space. And when you got down off the roof, I wanted a clean roof line for the most part. And when you got down off the roof and you looked up at the building, you could see all that up there. And I didn't like it. That was me coming down to check. And I was like, I'm not a fan of how that's looking from the ground. So we kind of scrapped that idea, even though it really hurt my heart to do that, because I was really, I had this vision in my head, it's got to be this way, and it wasn't going to work. And I was just like, well, I guess I got to sacrifice that idea. Now here, two geniuses at work, we tried so hard to do switchback stairs, and it just was not working. This is kind of painful to watch back because it's like, wow, we have no idea what we're doing. We're not engineers, clearly. You can't do floating blocks in Dinkum like you can in Minecraft. So to build kind of a circular stairwell isn't really possible. And to do it the way that I had originally thought I would, kind of like you're seeing here, to where you come up and there's a little landing, and then you go up the next way and there's a little landing, and you just kind of circle around up. But you can't really do that because of the build mechanics in this game. And so we tried, but I didn't want it to take up nearly as much room as it was taking up, because I was like, oh, this is going to just mess everything up in terms of the aesthetic. And I was like, what are we going to do? We need stairs to get up there. And we spent way too long standing here thinking about this. I cut out a lot because I was like, my brain hurts thinking about how like mechanically this will work. And it just was not happening. And I kind of like, well, I guess we're just going to leave it for now. And then not Susie, I'm thinking of somebody else. Hi, Susie. No, Sunny Ann had this great idea. And here you see her implementing it. And she was like, what if we did it like this? And we made it part of like the architecture of the building. And I was just like, oh my God, genius. I mean, simple problems require simple solutions, right? So that was I don't know where that complete epiphany of genius came from, but I was so glad it popped into her brain, because we spent far too long trying to make that other thing work. And this was so much simpler, so much cleaner, and was really going to work a lot better with, I think, what we had planned initially anyway. So we're back on the roof now that we've got a staircase up to it, and we're going to add in the second section of this little rooftop area. I guess we could have done a helipad. I've had to recruit Offending Commit's help. He is the king of Dinkum helipad builds. Mine is woefully inadequate currently. It is literally just a little square on the ground with some lights, and that is it. It's pitiful. But again, the helicopter thing just didn't really go with the vibe we were kind of wanting to accomplish here. I can't decide if laying out pathing is my favorite thing or my least favorite thing to do. We decided to go with brick. We had already kind of used brick in the portico area, and so this kind of ties that area into this one. And also too, I envision brick in any kind of rooftop scenario for some reason. It seems classic. So go with what works. We also laughed and joked about how this was a huge safety hazard. There's no railing to keep you from falling off. But we determined that this was an adults-only resort, and so you have to take what, you're liable for your own actions. sure why we were having so much difficulty with figuring out the stair situation, but we were on the struggle bus a lot. We'd have moments of genius and then moments of derpy derp. What do we do? Why isn't this working? Why does it look weird? Here we are working a little bit more on this is going to be the rooftop garden area. And when I tell you, it gets so frustrating when you can't center things on the squares. And I know that's like an issue in a lot of games, and this is not unique to this game at all, but I just want to be able to move it over just like a half a square. Half a squares. Is that too much to ask? Can you spare a square? I'm not sure what Sandy Ann is doing over there. She's just chilling, watching me work like usual. Sunny, if you're watching this, get to work. I liked adding in the hedges. It gave a little break up of all of texture from the stone to the hedges, but also it gave like a pop of color. Oh yeah, we were having connectivity issues. Multiplayer has still got some kinks that have to be worked out. And if you're at somebody else's island, you can get kicked off for no good reason. And when you see that she leaves and comes back pretty frequently, that's why. And also I have like the internet from like 1952. I like to break up large sections of pathing with little accent pieces like this. I feel like it tends to help break up what your eye is seeing, make it a little bit more, pop a little bit more. Gives your eye someplace else to look other than just like a sea of brick. And here I'm trying to be real clever with it, so. I don't know what I just did there. I was probably trying to see what something would look like and cut the edit a little too soon. We'll get better. So none of the fountains in the game were going to work for what I was hoping to achieve, so I decided to put in some water boxes to give us a little bit of a water feature. I really like using the small cement fountain and putting it inside water. Makes for a really cool look, but I wouldn't have been able to center it, and as y'all already know, that drives me nuts. So we just went with something simple, and in the end I feel like that was a good call. It looked a lot better. It looked more elegant in a way. I thought about using benches here, and then I saw these chairs and was like, they look upholstered. They look more comfortable. We'll do some benches maybe, and then do these chairs as well. Again, to just break up and give some variety. I tend to do everything sort of matchy, which, you know, it's a thing, I guess. But yeah, I like that it breaks up the color and the style. You get a bench, but then you get some chairs, and there's that pop of white on top of all the browns and the green. I got my cement fountains in there after all. Look at that. I also thought we're next to the sea. Let's put in some aquariums. I mean, that was the idea here, is there's supposed to be like a fish tank, an aquarium. They also have like a little subtle light at night, so, you know, it gives a little bit of ambient light, but also kind of giving like an actual, like a design, like it was done deliberately. Let's decorate the bar, shall we? Yeah, I know. A fireplace sounds and seems like a real weird choice next to the ocean. But in my mind, I was kind of picturing like really like there's jazz music playing in the background. It's really chill, like jazz mixed with Caribbean. That's a real eclectic sound, I'm sure. Somebody get on making that. That might be interesting. It probably already exists, though. Anyway, I had this like a really chill, just very calm. And I don't know, a fireplace just tends to say, this is a relaxing space with a crackling fire and your lovely drink. It also just sort of makes it cozy, and that's kind of what we were trying to achieve here, is cozy, even though there's no roof. Pretend there's a roof, or not a roof, it doesn't really matter, but hot tip, glow buttons, they add all kinds of great light, and they look pretty. Yeah, it was about here I decided that I wanted to put these on the tables because I felt like they looked more like little candles than actual lights. And we needed more greenery in the rooftop area anyway, so in come the bushes. Yeah, I decided that I didn't like the look of that standing up over the edge of the roof, so we knocked it out a square and it tucked in really nicely in this little nook, and I ended up liking it a lot better. I liked it so much I decided, let's put another one in. While I was doing all of that, I had Sunny building the actual bar area, and I believe she pulled up some inspiration from one of Jersey's island tours, and now I am totally blanking on whose island tour it was. So if you recognize that design, post a comment and give yourself some credit. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Stay tuned for the next episode. And as always, be kind to yourselves and be kind to others. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.